I never thought a regular Tuesday would turn into the most bizarre day of my entire school life. It started off completely normal. I woke up late, missed breakfast, barely made it to homeroom, but by the end of the day, I found myself in my teacher's living room, a broken bar with her cat, a broken bar doing something I definitely didn't see coming. No, not like that. Calm down. But still, if you had told me that morning what was going to happen, I would have laughed in your face and walked away, because nothing about what she asked me to do felt normal. And honestly, I wasn't ready. So, let me rewind a bit. My teacher, let's call her Miss Carter, is the kind of person who's impossible to read. You never know if she's going to give you a pop quiz or bring cupcakes to class. She teaches English, has this quiet voice that somehow still commands the whole room, and she's known for being a little broken bar different. Some students think she's cool, some think she's creepy. Me? I never really thought much about her until that day. The day everything flipped. It all started when I got called to stay after class. I wasn't in trouble, at least I didn't think I was. Miss Carter just looked at me with that calm, serious face of hers and said, "I need a favor, a weird one. And I think you're the only student I can trust with this." I laughed because I thought she was joking. Spoiler, she wasn't. She handed me this sticky note with an address on it. "Come by after school," she said. "You'll understand everything when you get there." Now, most people would have said number. But me? I was too curious and way too awkward to say no to a teacher's face. So, I showed up. Her place was nothing like I imagined. Warm lights, plants everywhere, books stacked higher than my head. And then there was the cat. Big, fluffy, with these weirdly intelligent A's. Its name, Mr. Boots, sounded innocent enough. But the minute I walked in, the cat stared at me like I had done something wrong. Miss Carter looked at me, totally serious, and said, "Okay, time to get started." Now here's where it gets strange. She didn't ask me to feed the cat or clean the litter box or anything normal like that. No, she pulled out this weird-looking binder and said, "He needs help finishing his training." I thought she was kidding. A training for a cat? But the next thing I knew, she handed me a pair of gloves, a clicker, and a list of very specific instructions. Some of them involved yoga mats. Others involved a tiny bell and a laser pointer. All I could think was, what did I just walk into? I was halfway through step 1 when something happened that changed the entire mood of the room. I can't say what it was yet or not yet, but it was the moment I realized this wasn't just about a cat. And it definitely wasn't just about training. Something else was going on. A broken bar, something I didn't sign up for. And that's where it all really began. The second I picked up that little silver clicker, I felt the tension shift in the room. Mr. Boots the Carter was locked onto me like I had just insulted his ancestors. Miss Carter, still calm as ever, stood nearby with her arms folded, watching like she was judging every move I made. I glanced at the list again. Step 1, a eye contact. Step 2, a bell response. Step 3, a controlled leap. It read more like a spy mission than anything to do with a cat. "Why does he need training?" I asked, trying to keep my voice from cracking. She just smiled and said, "He's not just a pet. He's been selected for something, a broken bar special." That's when I started thinking maybe this wasn't just about helping out a teacher. There was something about the way she said it, selected her, like the cat had been chosen for some top secret program. It was so weird I almost laughed. But then she pulled out a small envelope from her bookshelf and handed it to me. Inside was a photo of Mr. Boots in a harness, standing on a desk surrounded by what looked like miniature gadgets, tiny wires, a laptop, even what looked like a miniature camera strapped to his back. "What a broken bar is this?" I asked, confused and honestly a little freaked out. She leaned in, lowered her voice, and said, "Let's just say he's part of something bigger than both of us." Okay. Now I was officially creeped out. The cat was staring again. Miss Carter didn't blink once, and I was standing in the middle of her living room, holding a clicker and a bell, feeling like I'd just stepped into the start of a very strange Netflix show. She started pacing slowly, telling me that Mr. Boots had been trained since he was a kitten. He has instincts or skills. He just needs help refining them. You're observant, focused. You'll do fine. I didn't feel focused at all. I felt like running out the front door and never looking back. But I couldn't. Something about the way she was acting made it clear this wasn't something you backed out of easily. And then, out of nowhere, the lights flickered, just once, but long enough for both me and the cat to freeze. Miss Carter didn't react. She just whispered, "It's starting." I wanted to ask what she meant, but before I could say a word, Mr. Boots suddenly leapt off the table and bolted toward the hallway. Like he sensed something we didn't. Miss Carter looked at me with that same unreadable expression and said, "Follow him." Now. So I did. And that's when things got even stranger. I chased after Mr. Boots without thinking, the clicker still in my hand, my heart racing like I was being dragged into something way over my head. The hallway was dim, lit only by a soft glow coming from a room at the end. As I got closer, I started hearing this faint humming sound, like some kind of machine was running behind the walls. The cat darted through the cracked door, and I followed, only to stop dead in my tracks when I saw what was inside. It wasn't just a regular room. It looked like a mini lab, wires coiled along the walls, monitors with live video feeds showing places I didn't recognize, and maps marked up with circles and notes. One monitor showed the front of our school. Another showed a place I swear I'd never been, but something about it felt familiar. Mr. Boots hopped up on the desk, calmly tapping the keyboard with his paw like he'd done it 100 times before. I swear I'm not making this up. Miss Carter appeared behind me like a ghost. "He's not just a pet," she said again. "He's a tracker. He can pick up things humans can't." I turned to her, completely overwhelmed. "Pick up what? Why me? Why now?" She hesitated for the first time. "Because someone at the school isn't who they say they are, and Mr. Boots found traces of broken bar on you." That was it. My brain hit a wall. What did she mean? Traces? Why me? I'm not special. I'm just a regular kid trying to survive English class. But she was looking at me like I was part of something serious, something dangerous. And somehow, this cat knew it before I did. That's when the lab door creaked again and someone else stepped in. The moment that door creaked open, my stomach dropped. Miss Carter moved fast, stepping in front of me like she already knew what was coming. Mr. Boots froze too, his eyes locked on the shadow that stretched across the floor. A second later, a figure stepped into the room. It was someone I recognized, but not in the way you'd expect. It was Mr. Thompson, the janitor. The guy who barely spoke, who always wore that faded green jacket and pushed the mop like he was part of the walls. I never paid him any attention, until now. Only this time, he didn't look tired or bored. He looked a broken bar, sharp, focused. Like he'd been expecting us. "So," he said, voice low and steady, "you finally brought him in." He looked straight at me, not Miss Carter. Took longer than I thought. Miss Carter didn't move, but I could feel the tension pouring off her. "He's not part of this," she said. "He doesn't need to know everything." Mr. Thompson chuckled, slow and dry. "But he already knows enough, doesn't he?" "The cat chose him." "That means it's already started." I had no idea what it was, but whatever they were talking about, I was in it deep now. The monitors behind me flickered again, this time showing static and flashes of locations of our school hallway, the parking lot, a dark alley I couldn't place. Mr. Boots growled, low and strange, and Miss Carter whispered under her breath, "They're tracking him." Me. They were tracking me. I took a step back, trying to process everything. A cat trained to sense danger. A secret hidden inside a school. A janitor who wasn't just a janitor. And somehow, I was in the middle of it all. Then Mr. Thompson reached into his jacket and everything went still. Mr. Thompson's hand disappeared into his jacket, and my heart nearly stopped. I expected a weapon. I expected something dangerous. But instead, he pulled out a broken bar, a notebook, worn leather, edges torn, held together by what looked like electrical tape. It was thick and heavy, like it had been through a lot. He tossed it onto the table next to Mr. Boots, who hissed and leapt down immediately. "You've seen too much to back out now," Thompson said, his eyes still locked on mine. "Open it." Miss Carter didn't stop me. She just watched, tense, like she was waiting to see what I do. My fingers hesitated on the cover, but curiosity got the best of me. I opened the notebook and instantly regretted it. Inside were pages and pages of strange symbols, maps with coordinates, newspaper clippings of missing people, and photos. But not just any photos. Photos of students from our school. Some were old, black and white, from decades ago. Others were recent, too recent. One of them was a picture of me, taken from behind while I was walking home. I hadn't even noticed anyone there. "What is this?" I asked, my voice shaking. "Why am I in here?" Thompson stepped closer. "Because you're not the first, and if we don't act now, you might be the last." Miss Carter finally spoke up. "They've been using the school for years, watching, selecting students who show a broken bar, certain signs, patterns, behavior. Most of them disappear without anyone noticing. But Mr. Boots, he can sense them. He's trained to detect the change before it takes over." None of this made sense. Disappear? Detect what? I backed away from the notebook, but Thompson flipped another page, one filled with notes written in different handwriting, and there, right at the top, circled in red, was my name. That's when the lights flickered again. But this time, they didn't come back on. The room plunged into darkness, the machines shutting off one by one. Somewhere behind us, glass shattered. Miss Carter cursed under her breath. "They're here." I had no idea who they were, but I could hear footsteps, now heavy and fast, coming from the front of the house. Thompson grabbed the notebook and shoved it into my hands. "Whatever happens, don't let them get this. They're not after the cat anymore. They're after you." And just like that, the door burst open. The door slammed open with a force that shook the walls. I turned just in time to see two figures rush in, dressed in all black, faces covered, moving like they'd done this 100 times before. Miss Carter grabbed my arm and pulled me back, pushing me toward the narrow hallway behind the lab. "Run," she hissed. "Go now." But I didn't move. Not yet. I still had the notebook clutched to my chest, and my heart was pounding so hard I could barely hear anything else. Mr. Boots was gone, vanished into the shadows like he knew this moment was coming. Thompson stayed rooted in place, facing the intruders like he'd been waiting for them. One of the figures raised a device, something small and glowing faint blue. It started beeping the moment it pointed at me. "Confirmed," the figure said. "Subject is marked." Marked? What did that even mean? Miss Carter didn't wait to explain. She shoved me down the hallway just as a flash of light filled the lab. Something exploded, a glass, maybe, and the floor vibrated under my feet. I stumbled forward, hearing only chaos behind me. My legs moved on instinct, pushing me through a door that led to a narrow staircase spiraling downward. I had no idea where I was going, but somehow, Mr. Boots was already there, waiting on the final step. He let out a low growl and took off again, leading me through a tunnel lit only by flickering bulbs. I didn't ask questions. I just followed. We finally came out into what looked like a storage basement, dusty, silent, filled with boxes I didn't dare open. I leaned against the wall, breathing hard, notebook still in my hands. That's when I heard the static crackle. A radio number. It was coming from the notebook. I flipped it open, and in between the pages, tucked almost invisibly, was a small black chip with a red light blinking. I pulled it out, confused, until the light suddenly stopped blinking. A broken bar and a voice came through. "You were never the target," the voice said calmly. The cat was. Before I could even process that, Mr. Boots leapt onto a crate and stared at me, but something in his eyes had changed. They weren't the eyes of a pet anymore. They were watching, calculating, like he was waiting for me to do something. And then he spoke. At first, I thought I was imagining it. No way a cat just spoke. "But I swear to you, clear as day," Mr. Boots looked me straight in the eye and said, "You've seen what they are. Now it's your choice." I froze. My brain couldn't keep up. My heart felt like it was trying to escape my chest. "What are they?" I finally whispered. Mr. Boots didn't blink. "Not human, not anymore. They've been using the school as a testing ground, watching students, changing them." I was planted to stop it. Planted? By who? Before I could even ask, the notebook started beeping again. Mr. Boots looked at it, then back at me. "The chip is a tracker, but also a key. If you want to end this, you'll have to give it up." "End what?" I asked. Mr. Boots jumped down and walked to a wall on the far side of the basement. He tapped it with his paw, and a section slid open, revealing a panel with a small slot. The perfect size for the chip. Once it's in, he said, they won't find you again. But it wipes everything. The lab, the files, the signals, even me. I stared at the chip. After everything, Miss Carter's warning, Thompson's notebook, the chaos upstairs, I had a choice. Keep running and stay in this mess, or let it all go and shut it down for good. I walked over to the panel and slid the chip in. The red light blinked once, twice, then went dark. A soft hum started, like a machine powering down. Mr. Boots stepped back and gave me one last look. You did better than most, he said, and then, just like that, the wall closed. The lights flickered. Everything went silent. I stumbled back up the stairs to find the lab empty. No signs of a fight. No Miss Carter. No Thompson. It was like none of it ever happened. School the next day was a broken bar. Normal. Too normal. No one mentioned anything. No one acted strange. It was like hitting reset on reality. But I knew what I'd seen, and I knew it wasn't over forever. Sometimes I still feel like I'm being watched. Sometimes, I hear scratching at my window late at night. And once, I swear I saw glowing eyes in the dark. So yeah, her broken bar. My teacher made me do this with her cat. And I was definitely not ready.